And today on ET Now on the Go, Gurgaon edition, we have a very special guest with us. We have a company that was actually the first company that actually started making products which were toxin-free for their babies. And that's how they started. They became parents. They realized that, oh, we don't have any chemical-free, toxin-free products. They are Asia's, actually, the baby products were Asia's first company which was made safe stamped company, and that is what I'm going to be talking about with none other than Varun Alagh joining in with us. Varun, thank you so much for joining in with us, and obviously Honasa consumers, I don't need any introduction for that as well. So thank you so much for joining in with us.
Thank you for having me on the show, and I think it's super fun that we are doing this on the go.
Absolutely, and in Honasa's office, right? That's more important for us because I'm going to get all the insights from you today, everything that's going to be happening. Let's start by talking about your journey, right? 2016, you all became parents, you all realized, "Arey, we don't have products." Ab kya kare? So then, was that the beginning? Because starting from baby products, today you have so many other brands, right? You've become house of brands is what I could call. What was that journey and where did that process start from to build other brands as well?
I think the journey for us actually then starts back in 2014, not in 2016, because 2014 is when Agastya was born and we became parents. Right? And that's the first time our relationship with personal care became serious. Right? Because aisa nahi tha ki we were not using a shampoo or a lotion before that, right? But when it comes to your baby, you start becoming very choiceful of what you want to apply. Right? And hence you start reading labels, you start researching every product, right? And that's what happened, right? When we started researching and Googling what's right for the baby, what we should be buying, which brands are good, we came across a lot of negative, conversation which was happening around how there are certain carcinogens, right? Which is basically cancer-causing ingredients, right? Which are being found in baby care products in the world. Right? There were certain brands which were facing legal suits because of that. Right? And that just scares you as a parent, right? I mean, like, you don't want that
No matter what you use, at least for the kid, you want something that's the best.
I mean, you don't even let a mosquito come near your baby, right? How would you let something so severe happen to them, right? And I think that's where we started looking for options, right? And Ghazal had spent some time in New York, so she was a bit more aware on what ingredients, how toxin-free brands are coming up in different developed worlds, right? And when she started looking for that, right, we did not find any options here. And so we, like any other consumer, started sort of buying from London, US, studying some Masi, Mommy, please get this, or please get that. Very painful, right? And parenting is already fairly stressful, right? Why should parents need to go through another pain of getting something from outside? Why can't we get that in India? And I think that pain converted into a passion.
As well,
right, which we were both going through. Converted into passion, where we felt that this is a space which we would like to address, and that was how idea of Mamaearth was born. And then we worked with madesafe.org, like you said, in formulating Asia's first mix of MadeSafe certified toxin-free products, which did not have any harmful chemicals, and brought them to babies in India.
Absolutely, but then what about the journey then after that? Mamaearth was just the beginning. You started your adult range product. I think I believe it was with onion shampoo, right? So because I know onion shampoo was a rage. I have used it as well, and I really liked the product. But what was the thought process? Why did you venture into adult as well, and why these other brands then?
So I think two things. One, as a company, we take pride in the fact that we do extensive consumer listening. We used to do that individually by calling each consumer, me and Ghazal, during the early part of the journey. Right? But even our employees, everyone is supposed to talk to consumers, right? And get their feedback, get their listening in. Right? We look at what are they coming and searching for on our websites. Right? And when we started looking at that data, and when we started talking to our consumers, right, they said, we love this proposition. Right? We want toxin-free products, right? But why only limit for babies, right? We also want it for ourselves, right? Because firstly, it started with pregnant mothers because they said that whatever we apply goes inside the baby. Right? Then it went to mums post-pregnancy where they said those were great. Right? Even now the baby comes near my skin, so why not for us, right? And that just sort of one thing led to the other kind of a thing.
I want to know, because when we talk about chemical free, toxin free, because of that, the shelf life of a product, isn't that a bit lower than the other products? Because obviously chemicals are something that are like a preservative that is supporting the product. So how does the shelf life work, or how do you all work around that product?
No, I think that's also been a journey, right? When we started on that journey, since the beginning, we have been very choiceful about the preservatives that we use. In fact, some of the preservatives were a big nose to us in terms of usage. So we have been far more on the side of using food-based preservatives, because food also get preserved, right?
Yeah.
And if something is good for consumption, then that would be good for application also. So those preservative systems is what we scientifically mastered on. But it was a journey, like I said. Initially, our product shelf lives used to be lesser. Over time, we reformulated, got better sort of science support. We tested them over years to know that this lasts
because
longer.
it's a long, I'm sure it will
Yes,
take you all a lot of time to just realize that, okay, no, now it's not causing any sort of a reaction.
Yes. So actually gone through all of that process, and now we're at a comfortable level. We're still lesser than industry in terms of our shelf life, but then it's okay, right? And that's the cost that you give for getting a more natural ingredient.
Because, and then in terms of value also, because when I was seeing the pricing, okay, whether it's chemicals or other products that are there in the segment as well, you're not too expensively priced, right? Like you're in the middle range.
Yes.
So how does that also work for you? Because making today anything chemical free or anything healthy on that side is more expensive.
Yes.
So you are valuing your value wise, are you taking less in terms of the share, or how does that work?
I mean, honestly, the cost is higher, and which is why our products are priced at 20% to 25% more premium to where the mass products are priced. Right? And that's largely because of the quality of ingredients that we add. Right? So I think, and over time, of course, you get better at sourcing. Right? And when you start sourcing bulk because of the growth that you're seeing, right, you're able to get better pricing advantage as well. Right? So initially, it used to be a problem, and it used to reflect in our gross margins as well, which were much lower than industry. Right? But over time, because of scale up and better efficiencies, we've been able to manage that better.
How did that whole distribution start for you? Where did that start from, right? Because obviously you must be in one city first, that's the trial round. How did that move for you? How was it for the company?
I think that's the big difference between us and another probably 10 years ago or 20 years ago, if a FMCG company was to start. Because we were digital first, right? And we have been e-commerce first. And we have not had to have what we call geographical racism. In the sense that, you need to be metro focused, or you need to only focus on Delhi and Bombay. And we were always consumer focused, right? We were saying that, we've got a proposition, we've got a mix, right? And we have ability to deliver in 25,000 pin codes. If someone in any city of India, right, is looking for toxin-free, natural products, and then we will fulfill that demand. Right? Because of which, actually, very quickly, right, we kind of became a pan-India brand. One of the reasons we've been able to scale so quickly, right, also has been we have not had geographical boundaries. Right? And we have genuinely been able to tap into Bharat's potential. Right? In fact, even today, more than 55% of our online revenue comes from tier 2 and beyond.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we serve 3,000 towns.
So this is across ranges, or you're saying Mamaearth is?
Mamaearth, right?
Mamaearth,
I mean, like for younger brands, it'll probably be 50%. Right?
But that's a very good amount, because that ambition, I think, anyways, we always talk about how, the tier 2, tier 3, everyone has that ambition of improving and going towards that masthead side also, which
it's visible in our sales.
Right? First, we had only mass and premium products. Now we have masthead as well, which is fitting into the place as well. But, what about the couple of acquisitions you've made? How do you decide, that this is what I want to do? Or what do you look at it in a company when you're making these acquisitions, given that you're a brand for a purpose as well?
Yeah, of course.
And you're obviously, toxin-free. You want to keep up with that trend. So then how do you decide on your companies?
So acquisition is done, for example, by the company, right? Honasa does it, right? And Honasa now is a house of brands. Our ambition is to become the most loved company in the beauty and personal care space for millennials and Gen Zs in India. And to achieve that ambition, we realized that we will need to provide all categories of choice, right, and all propositions of choice, right? Because who are we to judge the consumer's choice? Right? We are here to fulfill that choice, right? Which is why we continued to provide. After Mamaearth, we developed the Derma company, which is a dermatologist designed scientific proposition-based brands. We launched Aqualogica, which is a hydration-based brand. Right? Now, similarly, when we look at acquisitions, we look at it from a perspective of, is it additive to our portfolio in providing the right choice for the consumer in terms of the proposition or category. In case of Be Blunt, we wanted to be present in hairstyling and hair color. And we wanted to provide a proposition of salon-like care at home. And we found that in Be Blunt as a mix, right? So that's where that fit in. And similarly, in Dr. Sheth, we believe that a combination of nature and actives is something that is going to make transition of a 50% natural country as India is towards actives easier. And hence that's portfolio additive, where we also had 90 years of dermatologist experience behind those formulations. So we acquired that with a very small brand at that point of time, and we've grown it 30 times over the last 1.5 years. Right? So I think that's how we think about acquisitions.
One really beautiful thing that I like is purpose for a brand, right? And that really touched my heart. And today, in today's day and age, either the purpose is to solve your consumers' needs or the issues that we have around us, whether it's water, whether it's trees and everything, and that is what it is. And that's what I want to talk about, because this purpose for brand, each of your brand has a purpose. First, I didn't know it was each individually.
Yes.
I just knew Mamaearth used to plant trees, and that's where I knew about that. But each of your brands, just talk to us about that, because that's amazing.
No, actually, we genuinely believe as a company that this century belongs to why-based brands rather than what-based brands. And if you just stand for a product, you will not be able to build emotional relationships with your consumers. Right? Consumers are genuinely going to care about what kind of a citizen a brand is. Right? And if they are making a choice towards that brand, what kind of values and ethos are they supporting? So at the heart of it, we genuinely believe that that's what people are going to think more cautiously about as things go. Right? And which is why from very early on, right, we started to think about that as a core part of our brand growth, right? Which is where you talked about plant goodness, right? That was our first purpose program, right? Because we genuinely believe that people who buy Mamaearth or prefer natural products, right, are in love with nature.
Yeah.
And if there is no nature to love, and what will these people do? Right? And hence, it's our responsibility to plant more nature, plant more trees. Right? We have planted over 500,000 trees, right? But not just planted, taken care of them. Right? So in fact, the biggest difference that we made to this purpose philosophy was that we said the biggest thing that is missing is transparency. While a lot of companies talk about contribution, they are not able to connect the contribution to a consumer. Right? And that's the technology that we built, right? That when you place an order on our website, and we're actually able to show you where the tree was planted, the picture of that tree, the geolocation of that tree, right? On a Google map, you can actually see it. Right? And then in 6 months down the line, we send you, now how does the tree look? And you're able to track that. And or if you come on our app and you've placed multiple orders, and there is a section called My Forest, where you're able to see all the trees which are connected to your order. Now that brings joy, because you've not just made a difference to you, but to we.
So buying the product, at least you at least consciously, you may not go and plant a tree, but it's happening, and there's a purpose behind it.
We want to be your ambassadors of change. Right? Just because you made the right choice in terms of the brand, and rest we will make sure we do the job.
Absolutely. Let's talk a bit numbers, thoda numbers only. But obviously we've seen. Would you say, like, obviously starting time you've seen a great growth, but going forward, when I say 4 years down the line, would something like a 30% growth across brands for Honasa be a CAGR growth is something that we could expect to see, or in that range? Like we are around that 1,500 crore for the year. 1,500, 1,900.
So currently we are already 3 quarters, we are done 1,500 crores.
Yeah,
Right?
so already done.
So we'll be close to 2, right, as we end the year. Right? But what I would say is rather than numbers, what we hold ourselves accountable to, and what we are gunning for is ensuring that we capture a wider share of this market every year, which basically means that we will be growing faster than the market every year. And that's what we are gunning for, that's what we're committed to, and that's what we will try and deliver over the next 5 to 10 years for sure.
Would you only want to be stuck to BPC, or would there be other ranges? Is that some thought process we could expect coming in, or right now the focus is?
We're actually not stuck with BPC. We love BPC, right? So we are more like married to BPC, and in a very, very healthy relationship, right? Because we genuinely believe that this category is going to see tremendous growth over the next decade. And both economic growth and, more importantly, women joining workforce, right, which is a mega trend that this country will see, right, is going to drive tremendous growth for that category. Right, and hence we are fully sort of inclined to building strong shares and dominance in that category over the next decade.
As co-founders, spouses, when you started the startup, obviously there are going to be differences between everyone. Yeah. How did you take that? Who's the boss? Whose was always boss? Ghazal always the boss then?
No, I think very early on we realized that, we need to do this together, and we are a team. Right? And as team, right, while we can debate and disagree, right, but when it comes to presenting the face to our teams or the external worlds, right, we have to be on the same page. Right? And hence, very early on, communication, right? I think we were very open about being vulnerable and doing honest communications. And 2, we also decided our own areas of executive decision making. Right? So she looks after product, R&D, innovation, quality, right? I look after the business side of things. Right? And while we do give each other advice on our areas, right, but the final decision making, right, in that area lies with the person who's leading that. Right? And that just then, because it's an executive decision, then look, that's where it sort of stops, right? So I think that has helped in managing the relationship and conflicts and everything that has come around.
That's great, and whoever our spouse's co-founder should take some tip, and communication is surely going to be key. But Varun, was your house a lab at one point of time when you tried all these nuskas at home? Did that how it start, or how did that start?
So honestly, we had a very little baby at home, yes. And so we did not venture into the lab at home scene because it could have been unsafe for the baby. But we spent a lot of time in external labs. There were times, there were labs which we were formulating with, labs where we were commercializing the product. And I still remember we have spent so many nights locked in the labs because we used to work with MadeSafe.org, which was US based, and so a lot of development used to happen, at the night, and we used to sort of work there. At the end of it, we could ourselves whip up creams, shampoos, etc.
Have you done it? Or
oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I can sort of do it today as well.
Which was the one that you made? Any one that you were specifically
made?
No,
Ghazal made the baby shampoo, and I have sort of made the face washes that we have made.
Were you just adding like masala and then whipping it?
Yeah, proper, shuru se pura emulsion, which surfactant to use, how much surfactant, anionic, ionic.
Proper, so next time I'll come and take a
testing. Test. Pakka, I'll be more than happy to.
Also, lastly, if you had to give me 3 top headlines that you would make 5-7 years down the line for Honasa, what would be those headlines that you would say, I'm not going to be saying anything, that's your job, you're giving the top headlines today?
Honasa was the biggest value creator of the year in terms of delta value addition. Honasa has become the most loved beauty and personal care company in India. And Honasa has taken iBeauty, which is Indian beauty, to the world and made us proud by taking Upton and Multani Mitti to Europe and America. Probably those would be nice.
Absolutely. Now you said iBeauty, so I want to talk about K-Beauty. That is one thing that came because that's raging. And when I've seen those technologies that they use sometimes to just make those, whip up those foundations, a robot is making the foundations. You know, how does India as an overall country, as the India BPC, face that, you know, because you have so much technology there then?
No, so see, there is, if there is joy in technology, then there is also, so for example, if there is pace, then there is also joy in flow. Right? There is joy in calmness. Right? If there is a world which is getting more aggressive, right, there is also a world which is moving towards spirituality. And I think finally at the heart of it, that's where the soul of India lies. Right? And as we get into further decades, right, we're going to teach the world how to balance, right, how to get back to the nature, right, how to use things which come from the earth, right, and hence come from Mamaearth. Right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Varun. It was great having you today. Really amazing conversation that we had.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining in with us.
Thank you.
on
Thank you
TV.
so much for having me on the show.